There's nothing mystical or terribly sophisticated about what we need to do. What we need to do, as Gary said, is basic marketing. Marketing 101. Marketing 101 is about the ability to do two things. The first is to identify your own competitive edge. What is it that you're good at? What is it that you're offering the consumer? What is it that defines who you are, your DNA, okay? The second thing, which is a little bit more challenging, but it is possible, is once you identified your own relative advantage, as they say in business language, you then turn to your audience. And your audience can be on college campus, your audience can be, in the Jewish world, can be in the Christian world, can be anywhere. You turn to your audience and you try to identify what is it that you have to offer them that is relevant to them. And the key word is relevance. If you're not relevant, you're in the wrong game. Now, my friends, the State of Israel, and I would argue that even from before the inception of the State of Israel, since the early days of the Zionist movement, we excelled in crisis management, and we believed that the only thing that we need to do was to convey our position based on historical facts and sometimes legal arguments. And it worked in a different world, when the technology was different, when the way we were consuming news and information was different. But today, my friends, our traditional message, which relied heavily on advocating Israel's positions vis-a-vis a certain crisis, and every time it was a different crisis, you all know, it's not working. It's not working, not because the message is not good, not because the message is wrong, not because the message is being conveyed poorly by people that don't speak the language. It is failing, my friends, because the message is not relevant to the target audience. There is no bingo. That marketing magic, when your competitive edge is relevant to your consumer, that's the bingo in marketing. That's Facebook. Okay, that's Google. Simplicity, effectiveness, efficiency, that's Google. That's magic in marketing. Now, my friends, we've been doing the wrong thing for 62 years. We've been asking the wrong question for 62 years. What's the question we ask? We ask people all over the world, please tell me if you support my policies. And I have to tell you, despite of our feeling as a collective, and I studied this issue so I think I can speak with some authority, when you ask that question, do you support Israel's policies all over the world? You get a very positive picture. The level of support for Israel in India is mind-boggling. In China, in Russia, much higher than in the United States. You have the United States, Canada, Mexico, even in countries like Italy and Germany. We have a problem in some European countries, that's true. But my friends, it's the wrong question. Because people can be very supportive of Israeli policies, yet not be attracted to what Israel represents. And we never thought about that. The vast majority of American Jews support Israeli policies overwhelmingly, yet most of them never been to Israel, not even once. The vast majority of non-Jewish European volunteers that came to the kibbutzim in the 70s opposed Israeli policies, yet were very attracted to what the kibbutz represented. So where is the bingo in Israel's marketing? Well, first of all, we identified through very delicate, comprehensive global research the 6 areas, if you made the 6 lenses, through which Israel should be communicated to the world in addition to the conflict. We're not proposing to shy away from the conflict. This is not what we're saying. We're saying that in addition to crisis management, you always have to do other things. So the 6 areas in which Israel possesses a clear relative advantage are the environment. I don't have to say this to you, of course. Everything that has to do with the environment, emphasizing desert agriculture, water desalination, water management, and renewable energy. The second is, of course, high-tech and science. That's a no-brainer. Medical breakthroughs, software, engineering, electronics, and so on. The third area is culture and the arts. We all know about Israeli literature, but very few of us know that Israel is a powerhouse in the field of modern dance, or is becoming an emerging film powerhouse. A fourth area is what is traditionally not being perceived as an Israeli advantage, and that is, of course, lifestyle and leisure. Israel has a lot to offer the world in that field, from architecture to product design to fashion, food, wine, olive oil, what have you. Israel is a very attractive place when it comes to lifestyle and recreation. The fifth area is, of course, the human diversity. We need to celebrate the human diversity, religious diversity, ethnic diversity, languages, with tens of languages regularly spoken in Israel. And of course, lastly, unfortunately, is Israel's best-kept secret, Israeli international aid programs. We have in the Foreign Ministry a vast international aid program called Mashav. Even Israelis never heard of Mashav. And I'm ashamed to say that. I'm standing here in front of you and I'm telling you, most Israelis never heard of Mashav. But these are the areas in which we're strong. I can tell you again, we studied it thoroughly. In every country, universally, you will find significant audiences that can relate to that will find what Israel is doing in those areas to be relevant to their lives. The success of Startup Nation as a book proves that point. Startup Nation is so successful because it is so relevant to audiences worldwide that are battling with the economic crisis. One last word about the issue of delegitimization. Look, Gary started by describing what happened here this morning. I wasn't in the room, but I can imagine. I've seen it on YouTube and many other places before. It's important for us to remember that it is true that they're well-organized, well-funded, and I think they're executing their plan beautifully. There's no question about that. But we have to remember that the problem is not the people that marched into the room. The delegitimizers, we need to isolate them, but they're not our biggest problem. Our biggest problem are the people who are unable to relate to what Israel represents. And that's the majority of Americans, and I'm sad to say, the majority of American Jews. Inability to relate to Israel, it means people that don't find ways to care about Israel. It's very difficult for them to develop curiosity about Israel. We have to worry about them because American campuses are not exclusively and primarily anti-Israel. They're primarily anti-establishment. They can be anti-Israel. But the biggest problem that we face on campus in America, and I've been, I was a student here myself during the days of the first Intifada, and I spoke in every major American university, I think, in the last 20 years, and I can tell you, the number one problem is not that they're anti-Israel. The number one problem is that they have no idea how Israel can be relevant to their lives. And this is something that we can all change by changing the conversation, turning it into a conversation which is a celebration of Israeli creativity, Israeli innovation, Israeli energy, Israel as a global source of inspiration. Thank you very much.